What if, just for tonight, you could step softly into a world where winding roads stretch beneath your feet, flanked by ancient forests and villages that seem to breathe with whispered prayers? What if the quiet murmur of history could guide you gently into rest, as each step of a pilgrim's journey unfolds in your mind, slow and deliberate? Hello, dear listener, and welcome to this calm corner of time, where we explore the ways pilgrimages shaped medieval faith and power. Before we drift further into this story, I invite you to pause for a moment. Perhaps consider liking this channel, subscribing, or leaving a gentle comment, a way to mark your presence here tonight. I wonder, softly, where you are listening from. Is it a quiet bedroom, a softly lit living room, or perhaps the gentle stillness of night on a balcony somewhere? Wherever you are, I invite you to feel settled, to allow the world around you to soften, to feel the surface beneath you supporting you completely, the air brushing softly against your skin, the rise and fall of your chest as you inhale deeply, slowly, and exhale, releasing the day, releasing its weight. Let us begin, then, with a gentle guidance for tonight's journey. Imagine, if you will, your body loosening with each breath, shoulders softening, jaw unclenching, muscles melting into the surface beneath you. Allow your mind to drift like leaves floating down a slow river. With no rush, no urgency, only the calm awareness of your presence here, of this night, of these stories waiting to unfold. Perhaps close your eyes, or leave them gently open, half dreaming, half aware, as though the boundary between your imagination and this story begins to blur. Now, let your mind wander to the medieval world, centuries before our own, when the earth seemed larger, slower, and full of mystery. Imagine a time when the air was thick with the smoke of hearth fires, the fragrance of herbs drying in sunlit kitchens, the distant peal of bells from stone towers calling the faithful to prayer. A world where faith and devotion were woven into the very fabric of life, guiding rulers, shaping villages, and reaching deep into the hearts of ordinary folk. In this world, the road itself held meaning. Every stone, every bend, every brook and forest glade seemed touched with purpose. And it was along these roads that pilgrims wandered, drawn by a longing they could not name, a pull toward distant shrines and relics, toward holy places said to hold the power to heal, to enlighten, or to grant mercy. Some walked alone, some in small groups, some with families, others with strangers who soon became companions, their steps harmonizing in unspoken rhythm. As you imagine these pilgrims, perhaps picture a young woman with a simple cloak, the hood drawn low over her hair, hands clasped in quiet prayer, her eyes reflecting both awe and fear. Perhaps see an elderly man, staff in hand, leaning on it not only for support but for faith, each step a meditation, each mile a devotion. Perhaps hear the soft murmur of a group chanting psalms in the distance, their voices blending with the rustle of leaves and the whisper of the wind. Notice how the road stretches out, sometimes smooth and sunlit, sometimes muddy and shadowed, yet always beckoning, always leading onward. Imagine the villages that dot this path. Small stone cottages, smoke rising gently from chimneys, animals grazing lazily, townsfolk pausing in their work to watch pilgrims pass by with curiosity or reverence. Every encounter, every glance, every shared smile or nod of encouragement becomes part of a subtle tapestry, weaving together the human and the divine. And as we wander these paths in our minds, notice how time seems to shift. The modern world recedes, replaced by the slower rhythm of life dictated by daylight, prayer, and seasons. Feel your own heartbeat slowing to match the cadence of the pilgrim's steps, the gentle sway of bodies in motion, the soft hush of evening settling over cobblestones and forests alike. Tonight, we will journey together through this world, exploring how these pilgrimages shaped not only the faith of those who walked, but also the power of kings, bishops, and the church itself. We will follow the worn paths to sacred shrines, pause beneath cathedral spires, listen to the whispered stories of saints and miracles, and allow the quiet majesty of history to wash over us. All the while, your own mind and body may find a gentle release, a slow descent into calm, like water pooling in the hollow of a riverbank. And so, dear listener, settle in, let the day fall away, and open yourself to the journey. Feel the soft pull of curiosity and wonder, the delicate weight of history in your thoughts, the gentle expansion of awareness that travels not in haste but in calm, rhythmic motion. With each breath, imagine stepping further along the pilgrim's road, past forests, past villages, past streams glimmering in the moonlight. Stepping into a story that has waited centuries to be told. And perhaps, to help you drift, finally, towards sleep. As we take the first step together, remember that there is no rush. Only the slow unfolding of time, the gentle movement of feet on ancient stones, the soft echo of prayers long whispered, and the quiet assurance that you are exactly where you need to be, here, now, in this moment, listening, breathing, drifting. What if, just for a moment, you could feel the stirring of longing deep within, a gentle tug that pulls you away from familiar hearths and warm beds, toward roads you have never walked. Imagine the quiet call of the distant shrine, a flickering light you cannot yet see, drawing you softly with whispers of devotion, hope, and mystery. Tonight, let us linger here, in that delicate space between home and journey, and notice how the pilgrims of medieval Europe felt this same quiet pull, a yearning that often began in the heart before the feet had moved, a desire to seek something beyond the known, something sacred. Close your eyes for a moment, if you can. Breathe slowly, deeply, allowing yourself to feel the gentle anticipation of a journey yet begun. Imagine a small village, tucked into the green folds of a valley, smoke curling from chimneys as the morning sun touches tiled roofs. The air smells of damp earth and wood smoke, of herbs drying in baskets, of dew on soft grass. Somewhere in the distance, a bell tolls, calling the faithful to prayer, or perhaps to something more subtle, the awareness that the world is larger, older, and filled with stories waiting to be lived. Here, a young man named Thomas rises before dawn. His cloak is patched and worn, his sandals already dusted with the first light of the road. He carries little with him, only a small satchel of bread, a flask of water, and a prayer he has whispered countless nights into the dark. Yet within him burns a quiet urgency, the need to journey towards something that promises both solace and understanding. Perhaps near the village fountain, an older woman pauses, fingers tracing the stone as though memorizing its texture, before stepping onto the path that will carry her across forests and rivers, into towns she has only imagined in her prayers. Each step is a tiny surrender, a letting go of the familiar. And yet, it is also an embracing of possibility, a gentle unfolding of courage she did not know she possessed. And around them, the world stirs with similar stories. Merchants whispering blessings to travelers departing with a nod and a smile, children waving as they clutch their parents' hands, monks watching silently from cloistered windows, their chants a soft rhythm that seems to accompany every footfall. The world itself seems to breathe in anticipation of the journeys about to begin, as if the hills and rivers, the winds and the trees, are all witnesses to this quiet ritual of leaving and becoming. Pilgrimages were not simply paths of devotion, they were invitations to transformation. The call to journey could be born from grief, from hope, from penance, or from curiosity about the miraculous. Perhaps a mother lost a child to illness and sought the intercession of a saint, hoping that her steps along the dusty road might bring healing to her heart. Perhaps a young knight sought courage or redemption, imagining the strength he might gather from sacred stones and holy water. Perhaps a scholar, curious and restless, longed to see the relics that had inspired poetry and art across generations. Notice, softly, how the call itself is patient and persistent. It does not demand immediate action. It lingers, weaving into dreams, into quiet moments at dawn or dusk, in the spaces between chores and meals. Pilgrims often spent months preparing for this journey, both in body and in mind, strengthening their resolve, mending what could be mended, and offering prayers for guidance. Even in preparation, the journey had already begun within them. Imagine, too, the advice whispered by elders and clergy. Travel with caution, carry your faith as well as your staff, keep your heart open to strangers and the unknown. Perhaps a village elder hands Thomas a small token, a carved wooden cross, or a smooth stone with a prayer etched into it, saying only, "May it remind you that the road is never walked alone." Such gifts are simple yet profound, connecting the pilgrim to the generations who walked before and those who will follow. And so, with the first steps taken before the sun fully rises, the pilgrims leave the safety of their familiar streets. Feel the soft crunch of gravel beneath sandals, the murmur of a stream beside the road, the distant rustle of leaves in a forest yet unseen. Every mile stretches gently before them, an invitation to reflection, to encounter, to wonder. The anticipation is itself a meditation, a rhythm of hope and devotion that carries them forward as surely as the wind carries clouds across the sky. Even as they walk, the pilgrims carry their lives with them, not just their belongings, but their fears, their longings, their memories. Each step is both release and embrace, a slow letting go of the known and a quiet opening to what may be discovered. And perhaps this is why the journey calls so insistently, because it is not merely a path to a shrine or a relic, but a path to a deeper understanding of the self, and of the world as it was, and might yet be, experienced through the gentle lens of devotion. So, dear listener, as you imagine these pilgrims stepping into the soft light of morning, hear the whisper of possibility in the air. Feel your own breath slowing, your heart aligning with the calm cadence of footsteps on ancient roads. You, too, are on a journey tonight, one of thought, reflection, and gentle surrender. Let your mind wander alongside Thomas, alongside the woman by the fountain, alongside countless others whose quiet courage and faith echo through time. And as we continue, allow the awareness of this call to journey to seep into your senses, your imagination, your very being. Feel the gentle tug of curiosity and devotion, the soft rhythm of anticipation. And know that tonight, as these pilgrims take their first steps, so too can you begin to drift slowly, peacefully, into the meditative embrace of history, of story, and of rest. What if, tonight, you could feel the soft dust of medieval roads beneath your feet, the sun warm upon your shoulders, the wind whispering secrets from trees centuries old? Imagine walking beside pilgrims who move with quiet purpose, their footsteps a rhythm that harmonizes with the heartbeat of the land. As you settle into this thought, notice how the road itself becomes a companion. In medieval Europe, these paths were not merely lines on a map, but lifelines of faith and culture. Cobblestones worn smooth by countless journeys, muddy tracks that deepen with rain, sun-dappled trails that wind through forests. Each road carries stories whispered from pilgrim to pilgrim, village to village, shrine to shrine. Picture a narrow path through a forest. Sunlight filtering through the leaves, dappling the pilgrims' cloaks, the air rich with the scent of pine and damp earth. Thomas, our young pilgrim, pauses to adjust his staff, feeling its familiar weight. Around him, the quiet murmur of fellow travelers rises and falls like gentle waves. Prayers muttered under breath, chants hummed softly, the occasional laugh of a companion breaking the hush. Each sound is a thread in the tapestry of the journey, a pattern of devotion woven through motion and breath. Notice the rituals that mark the day, slow and deliberate. At sunrise, many pilgrims bow to the horizon, hands clasped, whispering prayers to greet the new light. At noon, the roads may be quiet, travelers resting, breaking bread, offering thanks for the strength to continue. Evening brings another pause, a time for reflection and contemplation as shadows stretch long across the fields. Every action, no matter how simple, is imbued with intention and meaning, forming a rhythm that mirrors the natural cycles of light and life. Along the roads, pilgrims encounter wayside shrines, small chapels, crosses carved into stones, or simple altars beneath an ancient oak. Here, they pause. Some kneeling in silent prayer, some lighting candles, some tracing fingers over worn carvings, feeling the presence of countless others who have stood in this same spot. The air seems to hum softly with devotion, and the pilgrim feels, however fleetingly, connected to something larger, something eternal. Imagine the variety of travelers you might see. A mother carrying a child in a sling, humming a prayer while balancing the child and a small bundle of possessions. An elderly monk, staff in hand, robe flowing, chanting quietly, as though the rhythm of his voice could steady the motion of the world itself. Young men and women, hopeful or penitent, some laughing softly, some silent, each journeying for reasons known only to their hearts. The road embraces all, offering both solitude and community in its endless unfolding. Rivers and streams are crossed with care, each footstep in cool water a cleansing ritual, a pause that both nourishes the body and refreshes the spirit. Bridges, often built by monasteries, are themselves markers of faith, places where travelers bow in thanks, where the water rushing below seems to carry away not only dust but worry and weariness. And when a village appears in the distance, the pilgrim's steps quicken, not in haste, but in anticipation of rest, fellowship, and the quiet ceremonies that await. Every town has its customs. The ringing of the bell at the chapel to announce midday prayers, the offering of food to weary travelers, the soft smile of a blacksmith pausing from his hammering to nod in acknowledgement. The road teaches patience, observation, and reverence. Each mile traveled is not just a movement through space, but a meditation, a rhythm of body and soul. Notice, too, the small acts of devotion along the way. A pilgrim tracing the outline of a saint's figure in the dirt with a finger, a whispered prayer for someone far away, a silent promise repeated with each step. These acts, though private, create a shared energy along the path, a network of faith that moves invisibly among travelers, uniting them across distance and time. And the night brings its own rituals. As the sky deepens into velvet, stars emerging softly, pilgrims gather around small fires or within humble inns. Food is shared, stories told, prayers whispered again before sleep. The crackle of fire becomes a lullaby, the flickering light casting shadows that dance like ancient spirits, and the pilgrims drift into rest, ready to rise with the dawn and continue along the sacred roads. So, dear listener, as you imagine these roads stretching endlessly, each stone a marker of devotion, each mile a meditation, feel your own body and mind mirroring the pace of the travelers. Let your breath follow their rhythm, slow and steady, in and out. The quiet rustle of leaves, the murmur of distant streams, the soft echo of prayers. All guiding you gently into calm, into reflection, into the subtle awareness that you are walking these paths alongside them. The road itself becomes a teacher, showing patience, offering space for contemplation, providing a rhythm that is at once grounding and expansive. Step by step, mile by mile, the pilgrims, and you, in imagination, move closer to understanding the subtle ways in which devotion, discipline, and ritual shape not only journeys, but the very fabric of faith and society. And so we continue. Along these quiet roads, beneath the dappled light, with prayers woven into every movement. Letting the rhythm of walking, of ritual, of the world itself, settle gently into your mind, carrying you forward into the next stage of our journey. What if, tonight, you could feel the uneven rhythm of the road beneath your feet, sense the fatigue and anticipation that mingle in a pilgrim's heart? Imagine stepping through wind and rain, mud and sun, each mile both a trial and a meditation, each step a small act of perseverance. As you settle into this thought, picture Thomas and the other travelers setting out in the early morning, the sky still soft with dawn, clouds hovering low over the hills. The path before them stretches into the unknown, and though the road promises discovery and devotion, it is not without its trials. Notice the weight of the pack upon the pilgrim's back, the ache in muscles that have grown accustomed to walking day after day. Feet blistered, legs weary, eyes adjusting to glare or shadow. Each discomfort is met with quiet resolve, a steady breath, a whispered prayer that carries strength forward, step by step, mile by mile. Imagine the forested paths, soft with fallen leaves but treacherous after rain. The wind picks up, carrying with it the scent of damp earth, the rustle of branches, and sometimes a warning in the cry of a distant bird. Travelers pause, adjusting cloaks and hoods, careful of slipping, mindful of every movement. And yet, even in challenge, there is beauty, the way sunlight glimmers on wet leaves, the gentle murmur of streams winding beside the path, the quiet companionship of those walking together, offering hands, words, or shared silence. The journey tests both body and spirit. Storms arrive without warning, soaking travelers to the skin, chilling them to the bone. Hunger tugs softly at the stomach, urging caution and planning, while the mind drifts to loved ones left behind, to prayers unspoken, to hope that the next village might bring relief. Pilgrims develop resilience, learning to bend with the wind, to find rhythm in hardship, to trust in the slow unfolding of the path. And yet, the challenges are not only physical. Loneliness creeps softly, a quiet companion in the still hours before dawn, when the road stretches empty beneath the stars. Doubt may whisper that the journey is too long, the path too uncertain. But pilgrims, attuned to their faith and the support of unseen saints, often find inner fortitude in these moments of quiet struggle. The heart grows stronger in the very act of walking, in the steady repetition of steps and prayers. Imagine the dangers that lurk in shadowed places. Wild animals in forests, bandits along lonely stretches, the threat of illness carried by weather, water, or fatigue. Yet these threats, while real, are met with preparation, vigilance, and a sense of ritual. Travelers may carry protective charms, recite prayers before stepping into the unknown, and share knowledge of safe paths and shelters with one another. Every challenge becomes part of the pilgrimage, a subtle teacher, shaping both courage and humility. Picture Thomas helping a fellow traveler whose ankle has twisted, offering support and words of reassurance. The woman at his side smiles softly, grateful, and together they adjust their pace, sharing the quiet rhythm of mutual care. Each act of kindness, each word of encouragement, becomes a thread in the intricate web of the pilgrimage, a reminder that trials are softened when faced together. And still, wonder accompanies every difficulty. The sudden sight of a deer stepping lightly through morning mist, the distant spire of a town rising above the hills, the first glimpse of a river sparkling in sunlight. These moments of beauty, small and fleeting, carry pilgrims forward, a gentle reminder of grace woven into hardship. Notice, too, how the inner journey mirrors the outer one. Fatigue, doubt, and discomfort are met with patience, reflection, and prayer. The mind learns to focus not on what has passed or what may come, but on the steady motion of each footfall, on the soft cadence of breath, on the quiet whispers of hope and devotion. Every challenge is also a meditation, every obstacle a chance to grow, to trust, to surrender to the rhythm of the road. So, dear listener, as you imagine these pilgrims moving along the uneven path, feel your own breath aligning with their steps. Let the sense of perseverance settle in your body, a gentle weight that is both grounding and soothing. Picture the wind brushing softly against your face, the scent of wet earth rising, the quiet solidarity of travelers who walk alongside you in spirit. And as night falls upon the hills, the pilgrims find rest wherever they can. Under the shelter of trees, within the stone walls of inns, in quiet chapels. Their bodies recover, their minds soften, and the lessons of the day, resilience, patience, humility, and hope, linger like the last notes of a soft hymn, carrying them gently toward the dawn, toward the next stage of their journey. In this quiet, as the road stretches beyond sight and sound, let your own mind drift with them, step by step, mile by mile, into calm and rest. The challenges are faced, the steps are steady, and you are safe here, cradled by the rhythm of history, devotion, and the gentle power of the road. What if, tonight, you could feel the subtle influence of authority moving quietly through the pilgrimage roads, shaping not only the path but the hearts and minds of those who walked it? Imagine kings and bishops, their presence felt not in sudden commands but in gentle guidance, in the creation of roads, bridges, and shrines that drew pilgrims onward. As you settle into this thought, picture the landscape stretching out before you. Villages and towns, monasteries perched atop hills, bridges arcing gracefully over rivers, all built or maintained by patrons who understood the silent power of devotion. Every stone placed, every path cleared, every inn established for travelers was an invitation, a subtle encouragement, a soft pull toward faith and allegiance. Imagine Thomas and Elias walking beneath an archway of carved stone, erected by a local bishop, its carvings telling stories of saints and miracles. The travelers pause, noticing the artistry and care, feeling the weight of centuries of belief resting upon them. In these quiet moments, the influence of power is not forceful. It is gentle, pervasive, a presence that shapes the pilgrimage as much as the prayers of those who walk it. Patronage was both practical and symbolic. Kings funded roads to encourage devotion within their realms, to demonstrate piety, and to strengthen the ties between ruler and subjects. Nobles offered alms, built chapels, or supported monasteries, quietly weaving their authority into the fabric of spiritual life. Even as pilgrims bent their knees in prayer or traced their fingers along relics, they were moving through spaces shaped by those who understood that faith and power could walk together, slowly, deliberately. Notice how this influence is subtle yet enduring. A bridge built across a swollen river ensures the safety of pilgrims and symbolizes the ruler's care. A chapel adorned with gold leaf and stained glass inspires awe, deepening the emotional resonance of devotion. The architecture itself, the placement of a shrine, the arrangement of a town, all carry a soft authority, guiding the faithful without the need for harsh words. Imagine a small village preparing for the arrival of pilgrims. Food is gathered, rooms readied, water stored, and incense lit. Behind the scenes, the Lord of the land oversees quietly, ensuring that travelers are welcomed and that the shrine's reputation remains untarnished. Yet to the pilgrims, this influence feels invisible, a background harmony that allows them to move forward on their spiritual journey without distraction. And power in this context is not only secular. Bishops and abbots wield spiritual authority, offering indulgences, blessings, and guidance. Their decisions determine which shrines flourish, which roads are safe, which pilgrimages are sanctioned. The faithful walk these paths not merely for devotion, but in alignment with a subtle structure of influence that links prayer to politics, hope to hierarchy, faith to society. Picture Thomas pausing at a well-maintained inn, grateful for the care lavished upon it by a local abbey. As he rests, he notices the inscriptions on the beams, the care in the arrangement of food, the soft murmurs of blessing from the clergy nearby. Every detail, though quiet and unassuming, reflects the delicate balance of power and piety, a structure that nurtures both traveler and belief. Yet even as authority guides, the pilgrims retain their personal devotion. The gentle influence of kings and bishops does not overshadow individual faith. Instead, it shapes the spaces in which personal prayer and reflection can unfold. Each traveler moves through the roads and shrines with their own hopes, fears, and gratitude, their steps echoing both personal intent and the legacy of those who prepared the path before them. And so, dear listener, imagine the road stretching before you, lined not only with trees and stones, but with the quiet echoes of those who built it, who cared for it, who understood that faith and power, when intertwined gently, could shape both hearts and lands. Feel the subtle guidance in your own mind as you walk alongside Thomas and Elias, noticing how the world around you responds to careful planning, quiet authority, and centuries of devotion. Let the rhythm of their steps, the whisper of prayers, the soft hum of distant bells, carry you into awareness of the unseen forces that shape the world and the gentle ways in which guidance can lead without forcing. You are part of this flow tonight, drifting along roads that are at once physical, spiritual, and reflective. And as the sun begins its slow descent, the pilgrims continue onward, strengthened by the roads, the bridges, and the sanctuaries built for them, moving gracefully through the interwoven patterns of faith and authority. Let your mind settle into this awareness, letting the calm structure of history, devotion, and gentle influence guide your own thoughts toward rest. What if, tonight, you could hear the soft hum of life in villages along the pilgrimage route, smell the aroma of bread baking, see the flicker of lanterns in the evening, and sense the quiet presence of miracles unfolding alongside everyday routines. Imagine stepping gently into a world where faith and daily life are intertwined, each enriching the other. As you settle into this vision, picture Thomas and Elias entering a bustling village market. Stalls line the streets, laden with fruits, vegetables, herbs, and woven cloth. The air smells of fresh bread, roasting meats, and fragrant spices, carried on the breeze that rustles through the town square. Children dart between carts, laughing softly, their tiny feet echoing on cobblestones. The pilgrims pause, taking in the scene, their eyes drifting from one stall to another, noting the care of the merchants, the vibrant colors of produce, the gentle haggling that is less about competition and more about connection, about ritual of exchange. Each coin laid upon a counter, each loaf of bread passed from hand to hand, carries the rhythm of daily devotion alongside practical necessity. Notice how miracles are whispered into the ordinary. A baker places a small token of bread upon the windowsill, claiming it will protect travelers from hunger. A well near the fountain is said to carry water blessed by a saint, its touch bringing relief to weary pilgrims. A blind man sits quietly, offering prayers to travelers who pause to speak or listen, and some claim that sight returns, if only briefly, in the presence of faith. The lines between commerce and devotion blur. Pilgrims receive sustenance and rest, while merchants and villagers receive blessings, prayers, and stories. Every interaction carries subtle grace, a reminder that in this world, the divine is present not only in shrines but in markets, in hands passing coins, in words spoken softly, in meals shared with strangers who become companions for a moment or a lifetime. Picture Thomas selecting a small loaf of bread, feeling its warmth, hearing the soft encouragement of the baker, and passing a blessing of thanks in return. Elias moves to a stall offering herbs and small charms, gently touching each, listening to the stories of their origins. Every action, however simple, becomes an exchange infused with meaning, a quiet reflection of faith in motion. And miracles often arrive unannounced. Perhaps a child, sick and pale, is brought before a shrine in the market square, and a gentle breeze stirs, the bells chime softly, and the villagers whisper that healing is at hand. Perhaps a lost coin is found, restoring hope to someone who had counted themselves destitute. The miraculous weaves itself into the mundane, a soft thread running quietly through the fabric of everyday life. Notice how the pilgrims themselves become conduits of these small wonders. Their presence inspires stories, prayers, and acts of generosity. Each step taken on the road, Each interaction in the market, each quiet observation contributes to the rhythm of miracles and devotion. The road, the village, the shrine, the market, they are all connected, each space a part of a subtle, living network of faith. Even the architecture of the village participates. The chapel at the edge of the market glows softly in the morning light, its bells calling travelers to pause. The fountain at the center hums with water, carrying both refreshment and blessing. The streets, lined with timbered houses and painted shutters, guide movement and attention, gently orchestrating the flow of commerce, devotion, and quiet reflection. And as Thomas and Elias move onward, carrying their purchases and prayers, notice how the experience lingers in memory. The taste of bread, the scent of herbs, the warmth of shared laughter, the soft echo of miracles performed quietly, without spectacle. The road stretches beyond the village, but its lessons, its subtle rhythms, remain. So, dear listener, as you imagine these markets alive with color, sound, and devotion, let your own mind wander gently through the scene. Feel the textures, hear the murmurs, sense the miracles hidden within the ordinary, and let your breath align with the rhythm of the pilgrims, the merchants, the saints, and the village itself. And as evening descends, the market empties slowly, lanterns flicker to life, and travelers rest beneath the quiet watch of stars. The miracles and blessings of the day, woven subtly through commerce and ritual, settle softly into memory, carrying both pilgrims and listeners into calm reflection, gentle awareness, and the serene unfolding of night. What if, tonight, you could feel the gentle embrace of rest waiting at the end of a long day's journey, the warmth of a hearth, the soft flicker of candlelight, and the quiet kindness of those who open their doors to weary travelers. Imagine stepping into an inn along a medieval road, where hospitality is both sacred and simple, and every act of care carries the weight of centuries of tradition. As you settle into this vision, picture Thomas and Elias arriving at a small inn tucked into a green valley. The sun dips low, casting long shadows across the cobblestone street. Smoke curls lazily from chimneys, carrying the comforting scent of baked bread and simmering stew. A lantern swings gently above the door, welcoming travelers with soft light. Inside, the inn is alive with gentle activity. A fire crackles in the hearth, warming the wooden beams and stone floor. The innkeeper moves quietly, tending pots, adjusting blankets, offering soft words to each guest. The murmur of conversation fills the room, a mix of pilgrims, merchants, and locals, all sharing the soft rhythm of arrival, rest, and anticipation of the journey ahead. Notice the small acts of hospitality. A mug of warm broth passed across a table, a clean blanket folded neatly on a bed, a whispered blessing for safe travel. Even the placement of chairs, the arrangement of food, the careful lighting of lamps, carries intention, shaping the comfort and calm of those who enter. These gestures are simple yet profound, reflecting the understanding that rest itself is sacred, that every weary footstep deserves care. Imagine Thomas settling beside the fire, peeling away the dust of the road, feeling warmth seep into tired muscles. Elias sits across from him, quietly recounting stories heard along the journey, miracles witnessed, saints honored, villages visited. The two share bread and soft conversation, the rhythm of their voices mingling with the crackle of flames, the distant clatter of dishes, the soft footfalls of other travelers. Hospitality often extends beyond food and shelter. Innkeepers offer guidance, sharing knowledge of the road ahead, of safe crossings, of shrines and markets to visit. Fellow pilgrims exchange advice and reassurance, gestures that speak without words, reinforcing the invisible network of care that threads through every mile of the pilgrimage. Even the quiet corners of the inn carry significance. A wooden bench near the hearth becomes a space for reflection, for prayer, for observing the stories unfolding around you. Shadows play softly on the walls, hinting at the lives and journeys of countless travelers who have rested there before. Each creak of the floorboard, each flicker of candlelight, is a gentle reminder of continuity, of rhythm, of the shared human need for care and respite. And yet, hospitality is not only a practical kindness, it is a reflection of faith. The medieval traveler understands that offering rest, food, and warmth is a form of devotion, an acknowledgement of the sacred in each person who arrives at the door. Pilgrims and innkeepers alike participate in this quiet, reciprocal ritual, where giving and receiving are woven together in subtle, meaningful ways. Picture the night deepening outside, the moon rising softly over the hills, stars beginning to shimmer. Inside, travelers settle into their rooms or gather quietly by the fire, listening to the soft breathing of those around them. Thomas rests his head, feeling the tension of the road ease from his shoulders. Elias murmurs a prayer, his voice blending with the hush of night, carrying gratitude for the safety and warmth they have found. Notice how this calm, restorative pause shapes the journey itself. Each act of hospitality strengthens the pilgrim's resolve, nurtures their spirit, and prepares them for the miles still to come. The inn, the hearth, the gentle care of hosts, becomes an integral part of the pilgrimage, a place where history, devotion, and daily life converge quietly, profoundly, and tenderly. So, dear listener, as you imagine this inn, the warmth of the fire, the gentle voices, the comforting gestures, let your own mind and body relax in its presence. Feel the soft weight of comfort settle into your muscles, the quiet rhythm of conversation lull your thoughts, the gentle glow of candlelight soothe your senses. You are part of this space, cradled in the calm and kindness that has welcomed travelers for centuries. And as sleep approaches, the murmurs fade, the fire softens to glowing embers, and the pilgrims drift into gentle rest, their dreams mingling with those who have walked this path before them. Let yourself, too, be carried by this quiet, tender rhythm, into the gentle embrace of night, into the serene continuity of faith, travel, and care. What if, tonight, you could hear the gentle rush of water over stones, see sunlight glinting across a river's surface, and feel the soft sway of a wooden bridge beneath your feet? Imagine moving slowly along the pilgrimage route, where rivers carve the land and bridges guide travelers safely across, each step a quiet meditation on the flow of time and faith. As you settle into this vision, picture Thomas and Elias approaching a wide, murmuring river. The water glimmers in soft sunlight, weaving and gliding around rocks, carrying reflections of trees and sky. The sound is steady and soothing, a lullaby of nature, inviting travelers to pause and reflect before crossing. Pilgrims often linger at riversides, letting the cool air brush against their faces, their hands tracing the smooth stones, their hearts in quiet rhythm with the current. Notice how bridges serve as both practical passage and symbolic threshold. A stone bridge arches gracefully over the river, built by a devoted patron centuries ago. Its surface is worn smooth by countless footsteps, its parapets carved with crosses or saints. Stepping onto the bridge, the pilgrim feels a subtle shift, a movement from one world to another, a transition from fatigue to hope, from challenge to promise. Imagine Thomas stepping carefully onto the bridge, his staff tapping gently against the stone. Elias follows, his eyes tracing the water's surface, the reflection of the sky, the distant hills. Around them, other travelers cross slowly, some pausing to murmur a prayer, others simply breathing in the serenity. Each footstep resonates softly, joining the rhythm of water, wind, and stone. Rivers themselves are teachers of patience and reflection. Pilgrims observe the water's journey, how it bends, how it flows around obstacles, how it nourishes the land it touches. Each ripple is a lesson in persistence, each reflection a mirror of inner contemplation. The current carries leaves, twigs, and occasional small creatures, reminding travelers of the delicate balance of life, faith, and nature. And sometimes, rivers are obstacles to be respected. Sudden rains can swell their banks, strong currents test courage and skill. Bridges may be damaged or slippery, fords dangerous. Yet these challenges invite careful attention, mindfulness, and cooperation among travelers. Helping hands, shared guidance, quiet encouragement, all emerge naturally, creating a network of support and reflection along the water's edge. Notice how the act of crossing becomes ritual. Pilgrims may touch the water, sprinkle it upon themselves, whisper a prayer as their staff meets the bridge. Some pause to offer thanks for safe passage, tracing a finger over carved stones or making the sign of the cross. Even these small gestures carry profound significance, a reminder that every journey, every river crossed, every challenge met is part of a larger tapestry of devotion. Imagine the soft murmur of birds overhead, the gentle rustle of leaves along the riverbank, the occasional splash of fish breaking the surface. These natural sounds mingle with the murmured prayers of pilgrims, creating a symphony of presence and reflection. Thomas breathes deeply, feeling his worries drift downstream, carried away with each measured step. Bridges also connect more than riverbanks. They connect communities, beliefs, and generations. Each bridge has a story, often funded or built by a monastery or noble, a structure meant to serve both the practical and the spiritual. As pilgrims cross, they participate in a continuum of care and faith, their presence reinforcing the purpose and sacredness of these quiet, enduring constructions. And as the travelers reach the far side of the river, notice the gentle shift in light and sound. The water recedes from their ears, the landscape opens once more, yet the lessons linger. The patience learned, the reflection gained, the awareness of support and shared journey, all remain quietly within the heart. Even the simple act of stepping onto solid ground again carries a gentle satisfaction, a soft acknowledgement of resilience, gratitude, and faith. So, dear listener, imagine yourself standing on the bridge, feeling the gentle sway, listening to the water, breathing in the serenity, and letting your mind follow the current. Let each ripple and reflection carry away your thoughts, allowing calm, gentle focus to settle into your body. You are moving with the pilgrims, part of their quiet rhythm, aligned with centuries of faith, care, and reflection. And as the sun lowers in the sky, casting golden light upon river and stone, the pilgrims continue onward, their steps lightened by rest, reflection, and connection. Let your own thoughts drift with them, along the flow of water, across bridges, into calm, and deeper into gentle sleep. What if, tonight, you could hear the soft strains of music drifting across a sunlit village square, feel the gentle rhythm of feet moving in quiet procession, and see the glow of candles flickering against stone walls? Imagine stepping into a sacred festival along the pilgrimage path, where devotion and celebration flow together in a gentle, continuous current. As you settle into this vision, picture Thomas and Elias arriving at a town alive with preparation. Banners sway lightly in the breeze, each color and emblem carefully chosen to honor a patron saint. Villagers move with quiet purpose, arranging flowers, lighting lanterns, and setting out simple offerings. The air is tinged with the scent of incense, baking bread, and fresh herbs, carrying a gentle invitation to pause, observe, and join in reflection. Notice how festivals serve as both communal gatherings and meditative spaces. Pilgrims, locals, and clergy mingle softly, sharing stories and prayers, songs, and smiles. Music rises in soft layers, chants from the chapel blending with simple instruments played in the square, creating a melody that is at once structured and free-flowing, echoing through streets, around corners, and into the hearts of all present. Imagine Thomas pausing to watch a procession, candles held carefully by pilgrims moving slowly, deliberately. Each step resonates softly on the cobblestones, synchronized with whispered prayers and the gentle sway of banners. Elias hums quietly alongside him, attuning himself to the rhythm, noticing how even the smallest gestures, a bow, a folded hand, a smile, carry significance, a quiet reflection of shared faith. Festivals celebrate more than ritual. They celebrate continuity. Each movement, each song, each offering, is part of a chain stretching back through generations. Pilgrims and townspeople alike participate in a living memory, connecting the present to centuries of devotion. Even laughter, quiet and fleeting, becomes part of the tapestry, reminding travelers that joy and reverence can coexist gently. Notice the small details that fill the senses. The soft clatter of wooden shoes on stone, the warmth of sunlight on a cloak, the flicker of candlelight against a carved statue, the aroma of spiced bread or roasting meat. Each element contributes to a subtle meditation, a gentle immersion in the textures and rhythms of sacred life. And miracles, often whispered rather than declared, are part of the festival's quiet magic. A child cured of a lingering illness, a personal prayer answered, a coin or charm found in a moment of contemplation, all suggesting the ever-present possibility of grace. Pilgrims and villagers alike share these stories softly, careful to preserve wonder without boastfulness, knowing that faith thrives in quiet reverence. Festivals also offer rest and reflection. Pilgrims can pause from walking, find a quiet corner beneath the arches of a chapel, or sit at a fountain murmuring softly. The rhythm of music, of procession, of shared stories, mirrors the rhythm of breath and step, encouraging travelers to align their inner pace with the cadence of communal devotion. Imagine Thomas and Elias receiving small gifts from a kind villager, a candle, a piece of bread, a tiny token of blessing. They bow, murmuring thanks, feeling both humility and connection. These acts, however minor, carry profound significance, weaving them into the gentle web of shared faith, tying together strangers and saints, travelers and townspeople, past and present. Notice how sacred festivals blend movement with stillness. Processions advance slowly, candles sway, voices rise and fall. Yet pauses punctuate every moment, time to kneel, to reflect, to listen, to breathe. Even the passing of the sun across the sky feels measured, intentional, a reminder that spiritual growth and human experience are intertwined, each step and glance an opportunity to dwell in quiet awareness. And as evening descends, the festival softens. Lanterns glow warmly, casting gentle light on stone walls, and faces turn skyward in prayer. Music winds down, leaving only the quiet murmur of travelers, the whisper of wind through banners, the soft sigh of candles burning low. Pilgrims retreat to inns, to hearths, to small chapels, carrying with them the gentle rhythm of the day, a sense of community, and the quiet wonder of shared devotion. So, dear listener, as you imagine this festival, let your breath slow, your body soften, your mind settle into the gentle flow of ritual, celebration, and reflection. Picture the flickering lights, the soft music, the shared smiles, the whispers of prayers, and allow yourself to drift with Thomas, Elias, and countless pilgrims into a space of calm, warmth, and serene continuity. And as night fully embraces the land, the streets empty, the lanterns burn low, and the pilgrims rest, your own thoughts may follow gently behind them. Let the rhythm of the festival, the quiet joy, and the soft pulse of faith guide you into rest, into reflection, and deeper into the gentle sleep that awaits. What if, tonight, you could trace the faint lines of an ancient road beneath your feet, feel the subtle guidance of stones and markers that have led countless pilgrims before you, and sense the quiet order that carries travelers safely across forests, hills, and fields. Imagine walking along paths carefully tended, where every marker, post, and carved symbol holds both practical and spiritual meaning. As you settle into this vision, picture Thomas and Elias following a winding path through a forest dappled with sunlight. The road is soft beneath their feet, the leaves cushioning each step, and along the way, small carved stones appear, their shapes and symbols subtle but deliberate. Some bear crosses, others simple arrows, a quiet language of guidance that has endured for generations. Notice how these waymarkers serve as both direction and meditation. Pilgrims pause to observe them, tracing carvings with fingers, whispering prayers, or reflecting on the journey they have traveled and the path that still lies ahead. Each marker reminds travelers of progress, of intention, of the care and attention invested by those who came before. Imagine a small stone set into the ground, inscribed with a saint's symbol. Thomas kneels, resting a hand upon it, feeling the cool surface, the connection to centuries of devotion. Elias steps forward, murmuring a quiet prayer, sensing the subtle shift of energy along the path. Even in silence, the markers communicate guidance, protection, encouragement, continuity. The roads themselves are shaped by faith and geography alike. Forest trails curve gently around streams, hill paths ascend slowly to preserve strength, river crossings are marked carefully to ensure safety. Every bend, every incline, every smooth stone carries intention, a blend of practicality and reverence for the travelers who walk these sacred paths. Notice how travelers learn to attune themselves to these signs. The subtle glint of sunlight on a stone, the faint carving on a post, the worn path through grass or mud, all become part of a quiet awareness. Eyes, ears, and heart tuned gently to the environment, to the rhythm of movement, to the lessons whispered by the land itself. Imagine Thomas and Elias approaching a crossroads, a simple marker indicating the route to a distant shrine. Other travelers pause, consulting their maps or murmuring guidance. The moment is calm and deliberate, a soft meditation in choice and discernment. Even the act of choosing a path becomes sacred, a reflection of intention and devotion. Waymarkers also carry stories of generosity and care. Many were placed by monasteries, abbeys, or devoted nobles, who understood that guiding travelers safely is an act of piety. Each stone represents kindness, foresight, and a commitment to spiritual and physical welfare. Pilgrims, in turn, respond with gratitude, prayer, and mindfulness, forming a quiet dialogue that spans generations. Notice how the roads themselves reflect rhythm. Soft undulations of hills, the gentle sway of trees along the edge, the distant call of birds, and the occasional rustle of other travelers combine to create a serene symphony. Pilgrims step in time with this rhythm, their movements harmonizing with wind, leaf, and footfall. The waymarkers serve as subtle notes, punctuating the meditation of the journey. And yet, the sacredness is in the subtleties. A small carved arrow pointing the way, a moss-covered stone that glows in morning light, the soft crunch of leaves beneath the staff, all remind travelers of presence, continuity, and reflection. Every step becomes intentional, every glance a meditation, every pause a quiet acknowledgement of the interconnectedness of path, pilgrim, and devotion. Imagine the landscape stretching gently before Thomas and Elias. Open fields glimmering in sunlight, the faint outline of hills in the distance, a chapel spire rising softly above a village. The waymarkers guide, the road flows, and the pilgrims move with careful attention, their hearts aligned with purpose, their minds attuned to the calm rhythm of journey and reflection. So, dear listener, as you imagine walking along these sacred roads, let your breath match your steps, your awareness drift gently along with the markers and paths. Feel the quiet guidance of the land, the subtle encouragement of each stone and post, the enduring presence of countless pilgrims who have walked before. You are part of this gentle continuum, moving slowly, thoughtfully, serenely. And as the light softens, the sun descending toward the horizon, the pilgrims continue onward, their steps measured, their spirits aligned with the rhythm of road and waymarker. Let this quiet sense of guidance carry you into calm reflection, into awareness of gentle continuity, and softly, into the embrace of rest and sleep. What if, tonight, you could hear the soft murmur of stories carried along the road, whispered in the evening breeze, shared beside fires, or traced upon the worn stones of a chapel? Imagine listening to tales that have guided pilgrims for generations, stories that inspire devotion, reflection, and gentle wonder. As you settle into this vision, picture Thomas and Elias resting at the edge of a village green. The sun has lowered, casting long, soft shadows, and around a modest fire, pilgrims gather. Faces glow in the warm light, voices soft and measured, recounting the legends of saints, miracles, and mysterious happenings that stretch back through centuries. Each story rises like smoke, weaving into the night air, enveloping travelers in calm, reflective magic. Notice how these tales serve multiple purposes. Some are lessons of humility, kindness, or courage. Others speak of miraculous healings, lost travelers found, or visions of saints who guide the faithful from afar. Each story is gentle, never rushed, carrying moral and spiritual resonance, whispered in tones meant to soothe as much as to instruct. Imagine a story of Saint Cuthbert, walking alone along a windswept coast, guided only by the cry of birds and the whisper of waves. Pilgrims speak softly of how he healed the sick with a simple touch, or of how animals seemed to follow him, sensing his presence. The tale drifts through the group like a soft melody, teaching reverence for both nature and spirit. Other legends are more personal, shared quietly among travelers. Perhaps a woman recounts a vision she had at a distant shrine, where a small light appeared above a relic, filling her heart with calm. Perhaps a young man speaks of a dream that guided him to a safe inn when the road was treacherous. Each story is intimate, carrying subtle encouragement, weaving a network of shared experience along the pilgrimage. Notice how Thomas and Elias listen, absorbing both lesson and atmosphere. Each tale is framed not in urgency, but in gentle rhythm. The storytellers pause, letting silence fall between sentences, allowing the imagination to wander, allowing the mind to reflect, to align with the quiet flow of the journey. Legends also carry caution, guiding travelers gently without fear. Stories of rivers that flood unexpectedly, of forests that mislead the unwary, of shadows where the lost may linger. Yet even these tales are told softly, emphasizing mindfulness and reflection rather than dread. They teach attentiveness, resilience, and respect for the journey, nurturing calm awareness in each listener. Imagine the firelight flickering across faces, illuminating eyes wide with curiosity, hands wrapped around mugs of warm drink. The murmurs of nature, the rustle of leaves, the distant call of an owl, the soft ripple of a nearby stream, blend with the human voices, creating a soothing symphony. The pilgrims feel the lineage of story and faith settling gently around them, a shared heritage that guides both steps and heart. Notice how stories themselves become sacred markers. Each retelling links the present to centuries past, reminding travelers that they are part of a continuum. Every word spoken, every gesture accompanying the tale, strengthens the sense of connection, to saints, to fellow pilgrims, to the unseen and enduring presence of devotion. And sometimes, the tales blend with the landscape. A moss-covered stone may recall the miracle of a saint who rested there. A bend in the river may echo the path of a traveler guided by divine light. Every location carries its own narrative, softly inscribed in memory and imagination, waiting for attentive pilgrims to notice, reflect, and continue with reverence. So, dear listener, as you imagine these tales drifting through the evening, let your mind wander gently along with them. Feel the calm rhythm of voice and fire, of story and pause, of shadow and light. Let each legend wrap softly around your thoughts, nurturing reflection, curiosity, and serene awareness. And as night deepens, the stories fade into gentle silence. The fire dwindles to glowing embers, and pilgrims rest, their hearts carrying the soft resonance of shared tales, their dreams filled with lessons, guidance, and quiet wonder. Let yourself, too, be carried by this calm, reflective rhythm, into deep, gentle sleep, cradled by centuries of stories, faith, and the soft continuity of the pilgrimage. What if, tonight, you could feel the gentle warmth of shared presence along the pilgrimage road, the quiet trust that grows between travelers, and the subtle harmony of communities forming naturally through devotion and journey. Imagine walking not alone, but among those whose steps echo your own, whose prayers mingle with yours, creating a soft network of care and companionship. As you settle into this vision, picture Thomas and Elias entering a small clearing where several pilgrims have gathered for rest. The fire burns low, smoke curling toward the evening sky, and the soft murmur of conversation fills the air. Faces are illuminated by gentle light, hands pass cups of warm broth, and the rhythm of breath and motion settles into a quiet, shared cadence. Notice how pilgrim communities form organically. Travelers come from far-off villages, towns, or even distant lands. Differences in language, custom, or background matter little here. Shared purpose, shared path, and shared devotion create subtle bonds. Each act of kindness, each smile, each word of encouragement strengthening the web of connection. Imagine a young woman offering a traveler a blanket, the gesture soft and unspoken in its grace. An older man shares knowledge of safe paths, speaking slowly, deliberately, allowing the listeners to absorb each word. Children play quietly nearby, their laughter blending into the rustle of leaves and soft crackle of fire, a gentle reminder that life continues alongside the sacred journey. Notice the rhythm of conversation. Stories are exchanged in low tones, songs sung softly in the evening, prayers murmured for health, safety, and guidance. The cadence is unhurried, each pause deliberate, allowing reflection. Even moments of silence carry meaning, deepening the sense of presence, observation, and shared humanity. Imagine Thomas learning from a fellow traveler about a distant shrine, the story weaving together practical directions with subtle lessons of humility and devotion. Elias shares a prayer he learned from his family, and others respond with nods, gentle smiles, and quiet acknowledgement. Each interaction reinforces connection, not through force, but through gentle, attentive reciprocity. Pilgrim communities provide both comfort and guidance. Together, travelers navigate challenges, the uneven paths, sudden rains, or fatigue that tugs at bodies and minds. Support is offered naturally, with hands, words, or simple gestures. Strength is shared, and the road becomes lighter when carried collectively, step by step, moment by moment. Notice how rituals are strengthened within these communities. Evening prayers by a shared fire, collective reflection on the day's journey, or the quiet passing of bread and water, all carry subtle significance. The presence of others amplifies devotion, offering a soft echo of the sacred in every movement, every glance, every whispered word. Imagine the gentle laughter, the muted songs, the quiet music of simple instruments played around the fire. Each sound merges with the natural world, the rustle of leaves, the distant call of a night bird, the soft gurgle of a nearby stream. The pilgrims are immersed in a symphony of life, devotion, and shared rhythm, each note both personal and communal. Even brief encounters leave impressions. A traveler who joins for a single night may impart wisdom or comfort that lingers in memory. A fleeting act of kindness, handing over a piece of bread, sharing a cloak, offering a prayer, becomes part of the quiet history of the road. Every gesture strengthens the invisible thread that links pilgrims across time and space. So, dear listener, as you imagine these communities, let your breath align with theirs, your thoughts soften with the gentle rhythm of shared presence, your heart open to quiet connection. Feel the warmth of camaraderie, the steady pulse of cooperation, the tender harmony of souls moving together on a sacred path. And as night deepens, the fire dwindles, and the pilgrims settle into rest, notice how the sense of community lingers, soft and reassuring. Let yourself, too, be enveloped by this gentle rhythm, carried by the warmth, companionship, and shared devotion of the journey, drifting slowly, calmly, into sleep. What if, tonight, you could feel the gentle coolness of a sacred spring brushing your fingertips, hear the soft trickle of water over stones, and sense the quiet promise of restoration flowing through both body and spirit? Imagine standing at the edge of a holy well, where countless pilgrims before you have knelt, whispered prayers, and felt the subtle touch of healing. As you settle into this vision, picture Thomas and Elias arriving at a small shrine beside a crystal-clear spring. The sunlight dances across the water, creating soft reflections that shimmer like tiny stars. The air is tinged with the earthy fragrance of wet stone and delicate wildflowers. Pilgrims gather quietly, some kneeling to drink or wash, others simply sitting, absorbing the serenity and calm of the sacred place. Notice how holy waters are believed to carry both physical and spiritual benefits. Pilgrims seek relief from fatigue, ailments, or lingering worries. The water becomes a medium for hope, a conduit through which devotion and intention meet the subtle forces of healing. Each drop, each ripple, seems to carry centuries of faith, stories, and gentle blessings. Imagine Thomas cupping water in his hands, letting it flow slowly through his fingers, feeling the coolness awaken his senses. Elias bows his head, murmuring a prayer, the soft movement of his lips blending with the quiet gurgle of the spring. Around them, others sip or sprinkle water upon themselves, each gesture intimate, reflective, and deeply calming. Notice how the environment itself amplifies the sense of restoration. Soft moss cushions the stones, birds call gently from nearby trees, and the breeze carries the fragrance of herbs and damp earth. Every element invites mindfulness, encouraging travelers to notice sensation, movement, and the slow unfolding of peace and renewal. Healing is not always sudden or dramatic. Often, it is subtle, a gradual easing of tension, a quiet restoration of strength, a gentle clarity of mind. Pilgrims may feel lifted from fatigue, soothed from worry, or inspired by a renewed sense of purpose. Each encounter with the holy water becomes a meditation, an alignment of body, spirit, and environment. Imagine a child, guided by a parent, leaning to touch the spring's surface. The water laps softly against small fingers. A sense of wonder radiates across nearby travelers, reminding them of the innocence and trust that underlies faith. Even the smallest act, sipping a drop, tracing a circle on the stone, whispering a prayer, becomes a gentle, sacred ritual. Notice how the stones and banks of the spring carry memory. Carvings of saints, small offerings, coins left in gratitude, ribbons tied to nearby branches, all tell stories of those who have come seeking restoration. Each mark, each token, is a quiet testament to devotion, hope, and the enduring human desire for healing and connection. Imagine Thomas resting against a smooth stone, feeling the water's cool reflection on his palms, the soft murmur of the stream blending with whispers of prayer and occasional birdsong. Elias watches a pilgrim pour water over weary feet, the act gentle, reverent, and intimate, embodying care and quiet generosity. Healing and holy waters also carry symbolic significance. Pilgrims understand that purification, both of body and spirit, prepares them for the continued journey. Each sip, each sprinkle, each contemplative pause serves as a ritual of renewal, a reminder of the interweaving of faith, nature, and intention along the pilgrimage path. So, dear listener, as you imagine the spring, the gentle movement of water, the soft reflections of sunlight, and the calm murmur of prayer, allow yourself to feel the quiet restoration it offers. Let each breath align with the rhythm of the flowing water, each thought soften, each muscle release tension. You are part of this sacred, meditative moment, embraced by centuries of devotion and gentle renewal. And as the sun slowly descends, casting golden light across the spring, the pilgrims rise, refreshed in body and spirit, continuing onward with lightened hearts and clearer minds. Let yourself, too, be carried by this calm energy, flowing softly into awareness, reflection, and the gentle embrace of sleep. What if, tonight, you could feel the subtle weight of fatigue in your limbs, the soft ache of a long road beneath your feet, and the quiet determination that pushes travelers onward despite obstacles? Imagine walking with pilgrims across uneven paths, through sudden storms, and over hills that seem endless, where every step is both a challenge and a meditation. As you settle into this vision, picture Thomas and Elias climbing a gentle hill whose slopes are softened by grass and scattered stones. The morning mist lingers, curling softly around tree trunks, and the distant sun begins to filter through, casting a warm, diffused glow. The path is narrow, winding, and occasionally slippery, demanding careful attention and measured steps. Notice how challenges on the road are both physical and spiritual. Pilgrims encounter fatigue, blistered feet, sudden rain, muddy paths, and the weight of supplies. Each difficulty tests patience, resilience, and humility. At the same time, these challenges create moments of reflection, awareness, and quiet appreciation for the small victories along the way. Imagine Thomas pausing to adjust his pack, taking a slow, mindful breath, feeling the tension in his shoulders ease with careful exhalation. Elias steadies himself on a tree root, observing the way light filters through the leaves, the rustle of the wind, and the gentle movement of other travelers navigating the same path. Every moment becomes a meditation on endurance and presence. Notice the subtle support networks that arise. Fellow pilgrims offer hands, words of encouragement, or shared guidance, moving together in silent coordination. Even a small gesture, a branch held to aid balance, a whispered tip about a safe crossing, or sharing a piece of bread, creates connection, reminding travelers that challenges are eased through quiet cooperation and mutual care. Imagine a sudden shower, soft at first, then heavier, turning the path slick with mud. Pilgrims adjust their pace, finding rhythm with the rain, their breath slow and deliberate. Thomas and Elias lift their cloaks, careful to stay dry, noticing how water beads on leaves, flows gently into streams, and glistens along the trail. Each drop is a reminder of nature's presence, of adaptability, and of the resilience demanded by the journey. Notice how reflection accompanies each challenge. Walking uphill, navigating rough ground, or enduring discomfort becomes an inward journey as well. Thoughts slow, attention focuses, and the mind engages in a gentle dialogue with body and spirit. Pilgrims learn patience, humility, and trust, understanding that each difficulty is an opportunity for quiet growth. Imagine the day stretching, hills giving way to rolling fields, forests opening into sunlit meadows, rivers appearing in the distance. Each accomplishment, each carefully measured step, becomes a soft celebration. Elias smiles at Thomas, acknowledging the small triumphs that accumulate silently, quietly strengthening spirit and purpose. Notice the interplay between effort and reward. The fatigue of the road heightens the joy of arrival at a resting place, the relief of a warm meal, the comfort of a fire, or the view of a distant chapel. Pilgrims learn to savor these moments fully, aware that the journey itself, with its difficulties, shapes experience and deepens appreciation. Challenges are also opportunities for contemplation. Thomas pauses at a steep incline, letting his eyes follow the distant horizon, imagining the countless pilgrims who have ascended this same hill. Elias observes the shadows shifting across the path, the play of light on leaves and stone, and feels gratitude for the endurance that allows them to continue. Even hardship becomes a meditation on the interwoven nature of effort, faith, and reflection. So, dear listener, as you imagine these gentle challenges, let your breath mirror the careful, deliberate steps of the pilgrims. Feel the subtle weight in your own body, the soft engagement of muscles, and allow awareness to settle into calm, patient rhythm. Every step, every adjustment, every moment of endurance carries quiet meaning and soft reflection. And as the path eventually levels, leading to an inn, a river, or a hilltop clearing, notice the sense of accomplishment, the gentle pride, the quiet joy of perseverance. Let your mind drift with Thomas and Elias, carrying the lessons of resilience, patience, and reflection into your own journey, and allow these gentle rhythms to guide you softly into restful sleep. What if, tonight, you could sense the quiet reverence held in centuries-old hands, see the soft glow of candlelight upon polished reliquaries, and feel the gentle weight of faith that flows through objects touched and honored by countless pilgrims. Imagine standing before sacred relics, where devotion and history intertwine, and every whispered prayer is carried softly through time. As you settle into this vision, picture Thomas and Elias arriving at a modest chapel tucked into a hillside. The doors creak gently as they open them, and a faint aroma of incense drifts through the air, mingling with the soft warmth of candlelight. Inside, pilgrims move slowly, reverently, around glass cases and polished wooden boxes, their eyes soft, their movements unhurried, each gesture deliberate and meaningful. Notice how relics serve as tangible connections to saints, martyrs, and holy figures. A fragment of bone, a piece of cloth, or a carved artifact carries centuries of devotion. Pilgrims approach them with quiet humility, tracing their fingers along protective glass, offering silent prayers, or bowing gently. Even the smallest object can hold immense significance, reminding travelers of the continuity of faith and the presence of the sacred in everyday life. Imagine Thomas kneeling before a relic of a long-forgotten saint, closing his eyes, feeling the weight of devotion that surrounds the object. Elias lingers nearby, observing other pilgrims whispering soft petitions, their voices blending with the flickering of candle flames and the distant murmur of wind through open windows. Every motion, every sound, contributes to a gentle rhythm of reverence. Notice the artistry and care invested in reliquaries themselves. Many are made of gold, silver, or fine wood, adorned with delicate carvings, inlays, or painted scenes of holy events. These objects are not only protective vessels but also visual meditations, guiding attention, reflection, and gratitude. Each detail, each brushstroke or engraving, invites observation, awe, and gentle contemplation. Imagine pilgrims passing quietly along the aisle, each absorbing both the sacred and the human effort behind these objects. A mother lifts her child to glimpse a relic, the child's wide eyes reflecting candlelight, innocence blending with wonder. A solitary traveler bows deeply, feeling a personal connection across centuries, sensing the devotion of countless souls who have approached this same relic before. Notice how relics inspire stories, legends, and reflections. Tales of miracles, healings, or guidance often surround these objects, whispered softly among pilgrims. Thomas listens to one elderly pilgrim recounting the story of a young man healed of blindness after touching a relic, the narrative flowing slowly, rhythmically, imbuing each moment with calm wonder. These stories mingle with the quiet of the chapel, reinforcing faith without urgency, without haste. Imagine the soft echo of footsteps on stone floors, the faint rustle of robes, the quiet sighs of gratitude, all blending into a meditative soundscape. Elias traces a finger along a carved pattern on a wooden reliquary, feeling a connection not only to the saint it honors but to the generations of pilgrims whose devotion has been silently recorded through touch, prayer, and reflection. Notice how sacred relics teach patience and presence. Pilgrims wait their turn, move slowly, and focus entirely on the act of reverence. The experience is gentle, intentional, and absorbing. Each glance, each gesture, each silent thought strengthens mindfulness and deepens the sense of spiritual continuity. Imagine Thomas and Elias finally stepping back, the soft glow of candlelight lingering in their vision. The murmurs of prayer, the subtle rustle of garments, the soft clinking of tokens left in homage, all merge into a quiet symphony of devotion. They leave the chapel feeling lighter, reflective, and renewed, carrying with them the calm resonance of centuries of faith. So, dear listener, as you imagine these sacred relics, let your mind soften, your thoughts drift gently, your heart align with the quiet reverence around you. Feel the subtle hum of devotion, the warmth of candlelight, the gentle rhythm of soft footsteps, and allow yourself to sink into reflection, calm, and serenity. And as Thomas and Elias step back onto the quiet road, the chapel fading behind them, notice how the memory of sacred touch, gentle faith, and centuries of reverence lingers softly. Let this calm, reflective presence carry you into the quiet of night, into deep relaxation, and into the gentle embrace of sleep. What if, tonight, you could feel the quiet rhythm of hands folded in prayer, hear the soft murmur of whispered petitions, and sense the gentle devotion that flows from the heart of each pilgrim? Imagine walking alongside travelers whose faith is expressed not in grand gestures, but in the intimate, personal rituals that guide each step, each breath, each thought. As you settle into this vision, picture Thomas and Elias pausing beneath a centuries-old oak beside the road. Sunlight filters through the leaves, creating shifting patterns on the earth. Travelers kneel on soft grass or smooth stones, tracing crosses in the air, murmuring prayers, or simply sitting in silent contemplation. Each gesture, quiet and deliberate, carries significance, a gentle reflection of intention, humility, and devotion. Notice how pilgrim devotions are deeply personal. Some carry rosaries, fingers moving slowly along beads, each a quiet meditation. Others recite prayers learned from childhood or family, their lips barely moving, voice merging with the rhythm of footsteps along the path. Even the act of breathing intentionally, aligning body and spirit, becomes a subtle act of devotion. Imagine Thomas lifting a small wooden cross, worn smooth by years of handling, and holding it close to his heart. His eyes close, his breath slows, and he feels a wave of calm settle through him. Elias bows his head, tracing a pattern in the dirt with a stick, silently reflecting on gratitude, hope, and the journey ahead. Around them, other pilgrims carry out similar rituals, each unique, yet woven into a collective sense of reverence. Notice the quiet power in repetition. Pilgrims recite prayers or mantras again and again, letting rhythm and cadence guide their attention inward. The repetition creates calm, encourages focus, and aligns body, mind, and spirit. Each repetition is a step on the inner journey, echoing the physical journey along the pilgrimage road. Imagine small gestures of devotion in everyday actions. Pausing to leave a flower beside a shrine, washing hands in a clear stream, offering bread to a fellow traveler, or bowing to acknowledge sacred space. Each action, though simple, is infused with mindfulness, care, and spiritual presence, creating a gentle continuity of faith in every movement. Notice how the natural surroundings enhance devotion. The rustle of leaves, the soft call of birds, the flow of distant water, the warmth of sunlight on skin, all become part of a subtle meditation. Pilgrims attune their awareness to these gentle cues, aligning the rhythm of breath, thought, and gesture with the quiet, sacred pulse of the landscape. Imagine Thomas reflecting quietly on the prayers of those who walked before him, sensing a lineage of devotion stretching back through generations. Elias watches the way sunlight glimmers on a nearby stream, each ripple a reminder of the impermanence of moments and the enduring presence of faith. Each pilgrim carries these reflections inward, a quiet illumination of heart and mind. Notice how devotions are acts of both humility and presence. Pilgrims kneel, bow, or touch sacred surfaces not for recognition, but to cultivate mindfulness, connection, and spiritual clarity. Even small objects, a worn amulet, a carved stone, a simple token, become vessels for intention, focus, and reflection, grounding the traveler in the sacred rhythm of the journey. Imagine the soft blending of ritual and environment. The gentle sway of branches above, the distant rustle of animals, the murmur of other pilgrims, and the occasional bell from a nearby chapel all coalesce into a meditative symphony. Each movement, each breath, each whispered word harmonizes with the surrounding world, creating a sense of calm, connection, and serenity. So, dear listener, as you imagine these intimate devotions, allow your own breath to slow, your body to soften, your thoughts to drift gently. Feel the subtle rhythm of prayer, reflection, and mindful presence. Let the quiet power of devotion settle in your heart, aligning mind, body, and spirit with calm, gentle awareness. And as Thomas and Elias rise from their quiet pause, ready to continue along the pilgrimage road, notice how the stillness of the moment lingers softly. Let this gentle sense of presence, reflection, and devotion carry you forward, through the remaining path of the journey, and slowly, serenely, into the embrace of sleep. What if, tonight, you could feel the quiet hush that descends as a long journey nears its end, hear the soft murmur of pilgrims pausing in awe, and sense the gentle reverence that fills the air as sacred ground comes into view. Imagine stepping with Thomas and Elias toward the holy site, where centuries of devotion settle like a soft, luminous veil over the land. As you settle into this vision, picture the spires of a grand cathedral emerging on the horizon, catching the late afternoon sun in warm, golden hues. The surrounding village seems to lean toward the sacred place, its roofs and streets a gentle frame to the destination that pilgrims have dreamed of for days, weeks, or even months. A hush spreads among travelers, and the rhythm of steps slows, reverent and deliberate. Notice the transformation of the pilgrims themselves. Fatigue softens into quiet anticipation, chatter dwindles into murmured prayers, and each movement becomes intentional, as if the air itself has invited reflection. Thomas and Elias exchange gentle smiles, their hearts quietly aware of the culmination of effort, devotion, and perseverance. Every step forward feels both personal and shared, each breath a meditation in motion. Imagine walking along the final stretch of road, lined with gentle arches, small shrines, and flickering lanterns. Pilgrims pause to offer prayer or a small token, their gestures soft, deliberate, and full of gratitude. The scent of incense drifts from chapels, mingling with the earthy aroma of the surrounding gardens. Every detail, sound, light, fragrance, becomes part of the immersive, sacred atmosphere. Notice the subtle interplay between awe and intimacy. The holy site is vast, monumental in stone and stained glass, yet pilgrims experience it personally, quietly, in the rhythm of their own movements. Kneeling at an altar, touching a relic, tracing a carved symbol, or simply standing still to observe the glow of sunlight through colored glass, all are intimate encounters that harmonize with collective reverence. Imagine Thomas pausing before a sacred statue, his hands folded, his eyes tracing gentle lines of devotion carved into the stone. Elias steps beside him, whispering a prayer, feeling the weight of centuries of faith concentrated in this space. Around them, pilgrims from many lands converge, each journey different, yet all threads woven together into the tapestry of devotion, reflection, and quiet awe. Notice the rhythm of reflection. Even in the presence of grandeur, pilgrims move deliberately, taking slow, mindful steps, breathing deeply, and allowing each sensation to settle fully in awareness. The subtle sounds of murmured prayers, shifting robes, and faint footfalls on stone create a gentle cadence that resonates in harmony with the sacred space. Imagine the final moments of approach. Sunlight fades softly into warm shadows, lanterns flicker, bells toll in slow, measured intervals, and the pilgrims kneel, bow, or simply stand in quiet meditation. Thomas and Elias feel a deep calm settling over them, a gentle recognition that the journey has transformed not only their bodies but their spirits. Every hardship, every prayer, every step now carries the soft glow of fulfillment. Notice how the holy site reflects continuity and memory. Every stone, every relic, every stained glass panel is imbued with centuries of faith, each layer of devotion echoing in the presence of the living. Pilgrims sense connection not only to the sacred space but to those who have come before, carrying stories, prayers, and intentions forward in quiet harmony. So, dear listener, as you imagine arriving at this sacred destination, let your breath slow, your body relax, and your mind settle into gentle awareness. Feel the quiet awe, the serene reflection, the soft glow of fulfillment that washes over the pilgrims. Allow yourself to align with their calm, their reverence, and the gentle rhythm of completion. And as Thomas and Elias linger for a final moment, absorbing the soft light, the quiet prayers, and the serene presence of centuries, notice how the journey, though ending, leaves a lingering sense of peace, reflection, and spiritual calm. Let this gentle sense of arrival carry you softly into rest, serenity, and the embrace of deep, restorative sleep. What if, tonight, you could feel the quiet echo of every step taken along the pilgrimage road, hear the gentle murmur of prayers lingering in the air, and sense the subtle wisdom that arises from journeys both seen and unseen? Imagine Thomas and Elias resting at the edge of the sacred site, the world soft around them, the day slowly giving way to twilight, and a gentle calm settling deep into heart and mind. As you settle into this vision, notice how the road itself seems to breathe with the memory of all who traveled before. Each stone, each path, each marker carries stories of devotion, perseverance, and reflection. Pilgrims' voices, long silenced in time, blend softly with the wind, the rustle of leaves, the trickle of distant streams, and the quiet hum of life surrounding sacred spaces. You, too, can feel part of this continuum, cradled by centuries of quiet devotion. Reflect upon the journey. The long days of walking, the hills climbed and valleys crossed, the rivers forded, the challenges met with patience and resilience, all come together in a gentle tapestry of growth. Thomas and Elias remember the hardships, yet they also feel the soft joy of small triumphs, the serenity of shared presence, and the quiet awe inspired by sacred spaces. Every experience is woven into the soul's quiet reflection. Notice the subtle rhythm of faith and learning. Along the way, pilgrims absorbed the stories of saints and miracles, witnessed the devotion of communities, experienced the restorative touch of holy waters, and honored sacred relics. Each step, each pause, each prayer shaped awareness, instilled calm, and nurtured spiritual growth. Even the most ordinary moments, pausing by a tree, feeling the sun on skin, listening to wind through branches, carry gentle significance. Imagine Thomas and Elias looking out over the distant landscape, soft hills fading into mist, the chapel spire glowing in the twilight. They recall the roads traveled, the people met, the quiet devotions shared, and feel a deep, abiding peace. This calm is not fleeting. It lingers, carried in the heart, resonating with the steady pulse of reflection, gratitude, and spiritual presence. Notice how the journey becomes metaphorical as well as literal. Each challenge, each act of devotion, each reflection along the path represents a movement of the inner self. The pilgrim's road mirrors the quiet journey of mind and heart, the slow unfolding of awareness, patience, and gentle insight. Each breath, each step, each heartbeat becomes part of this sacred rhythm. Imagine the fading light casting long shadows, softening edges, and inviting stillness. Pilgrims settle in, some lying upon gentle grass, others seated with heads bowed, all allowing the day's experiences to infuse calm into body and mind. The air hums softly with reflection, devotion, and the lingering presence of the sacred, offering reassurance, continuity, and serenity. Notice the quiet power of gratitude. Thomas and Elias, like every pilgrim before and after them, feel a soft, abiding appreciation for the journey itself, for guidance, for companionship, for learning, for the enduring presence of faith and hope. Gratitude flows gently, not as excitement, but as a quiet warmth that settles into muscles, bones, and spirit alike. Imagine, finally, the world settling into night. Stars appear softly overhead, a gentle breeze carries the scent of flowers and damp earth, and the landscape hums with quiet life. Pilgrims' hearts are calm, minds reflective, bodies relaxed. Even as the road and day conclude, the experience lingers softly, like a gentle lullaby of history, devotion, and serene awareness. So, dear listener, as you lie or sit, feel your own journey mirrored in the pilgrim's steps. Let your breath slow, your muscles release tension, your mind drift gently. Sense the quiet wisdom of patience, reflection, and gentle endurance. Feel the warmth of shared humanity, the soft glow of devotion, and the gentle unfolding of peace within you. And as the night deepens, the last light fades, and Thomas and Elias rest in calm reflection. Allow yourself to drift fully into sleep. Let every heartbeat, every sigh, every whisper of wind carry you softly into dreams, where the pilgrimage continues in quiet, restorative harmony, cradled by history, faith, and the eternal rhythm of calm.